Hello, everybody. My name is Henry Fleener. I am a undergraduate student here at Oregon State in the Fisheries and Wildlife Department. I am also an officer in the Fish and Wildlife Club. This video includes interviews with Jill and Sarah, who are both students in the Fish and Wildlife Department. They're undergraduate students, and they have some great advice for other students that are taking remote classes or eCampus courses in this crazy time. These videos are to help undergraduate students in the Fish and Wildlife Department transition to remote learning or eCampus learning. I hope that everybody finds some good advice within these. Some of these are pretty general questions. So either if you're a new student or you're new to remote learning, I think everybody has something to learn in these videos.
My name is Sarah Bussmeyer. I'm a junior at Oregon State University in the Fisheries and Wildlife Sciences program. I started at OSU in 2017 in the summer and have been an online student the entire time. I've really enjoyed being an online student because it gives me a lot of options in where I take my classes and where I'm living and different opportunities for wherever I'm at in particular. I am also a member of the Fish and Wildlife Club leadership team. I currently am the American Fisheries Society secondary subunit liaison. So I help to communicate between Oregon, American Fisheries Society, and OSU, and help to plan fun events for students on campus.
My name is Jill Munger. I'm a fisheries and wildlife student, a fourth year student, and I was an eCampus student for a couple of years before I moved down to Corvallis. I also work a part-time financial position for a software company, and I've been working remotely for that company for over a decade. And this is Quinn. He is a very cute bonus to the video.
So that's extremely important when you are taking online classes, just because the dates and the timings of things can sneak up on you. So it's really important to stay on top of things. One feature of Canvas that allows you to look at a monthly calendar, which can kind of help you plan out what you are trying to do each week. And I will share the screen with you. So this is the calendar that shows up on Canvas each week. This is just for an example of one of the classes that I have this spring term. It's really helpful because it allows you to see, not only different things that are going to be due that week, but then also other dates, as in last day to add a fall term course or summer term registration, different things like that. So it kind of allows you to keep up with not only your classes at the time, but also your due dates of different things for OSU.
So are those items that are crossed off, are those ones that you actually have finished?
Yes, they are ones that I've actually finished, which is really helpful as well. So then you can keep track of what's already been done and what you still have left to do. Another way that I like to keep track of my classes is every Sunday I make a list on a piece of notebook paper, and I just keep it inside of a spiral bound notebook. And I make a list of all the things that are due that week for each of my classes. I have it separated into different classes, and under each class I have everything that's due that week. I really find this helpful. I make sure to include if a discussion board has one part due Wednesday and the other part due Sunday, so that I keep track of the fact that I'm not missing any due dates. Because I really feel like missing a due date is kind of a silly reason to not get points, especially if you're able to complete the items within the time. I also kind of like the idea of with the paper is that I can take my pen and I can mark it off the list once it's done, which is a pretty gratifying experience, especially when you're accomplishing a lot of things in one day.
Okay, so I am a wholehearted believer in Trello, Trello. It's free. You just go and sign up for an account, and every week on Sunday, I go and I look at all my assignments that are due for that week, and I enter them religiously into Trello on my Trello board. With the due dates, you can put subtasks in each card. You can move them around. You can, they turn different colors when they're about to be due. And, I look at it every day, and look at what's due, and then I just follow direction.
Awesome.
Take cues from Trello. But I think it's really important to have be systematic about it and to use the tool that you pick. So don't fluctuate from one tool to another. Don't do a paper calendar and then Trello and also have alerts on your phone. Pick one tool and stick with it.
I have used that before in the past. I was able to set it up through one of my classes. A lot of times during the introductory discussions, or if you have questions about a certain lab and there's a lab discussion board, people are always willing to help you out and to meet with you on Zoom or on the phone, or even just through emails back and forth. So I've definitely found that to be really helpful. I've also set up a group, it was about 4 of us, of other students, and we would each go through the lecture materials ourselves and would create questions, and then we would send those to each other just to kind of keep us interested in what we're studying and allow us to see different viewpoints of how information could be taken or how different questions could be developed from what's been taught.
Those are some really good ideas. Have you ever actually set up a Zoom for a study group?
I have. One time that was for a communications class, and that was pretty helpful. We were able to practice our speeches actually, and then be able to give each other feedback about how we did before it was time to officially record it for the class.
I don't think I ever have done that, although I'm trying to do that right now with a class that I'm in, a math class that I'm in. I'm sort of challenged because I haven't taken math in a while, and I could use an online study group. I know that there is the online learning math center through Slack, and I'm trying to use that to set up sort of a subgroup of people that I can study with, but I don't actually have any personal experience doing that. TBD.
So the best way that I have found to help me to focus on schoolwork is to set a timer. And what I'll do is set a timer for an hour, and I will tell myself that I'm going to, get this and this done off of my list or from my weekly to-do list. And then once an hour is up, I typically give myself 5 to 10 minutes to get up, stretch my legs, walk around, get a snack, go pet the cat, kind of take a little break from the computer screen. And then once I feel like I'm ready to return, I set another timer for another hour, or however much time I have between taking a lunch break or cooking dinner or different things like that. And then really try to pack in as many things as I can within that timer that I have set. And then you feel pretty good once the timer's up and you can take a little break. I really feel like taking breaks is really important. And along with that, you want to get up early, at a normal time, not extremely sleeping in, just so that you get a good start to the day. And usually the night before, I like to go ahead and put down a couple things that I'm going to accomplish first thing that morning, whether it be little things, something to clean the house, or something actually for classes. I really feel like once I start the day with at least one little thing accomplished, it kind of helps other things to just fall into place.
So there's two answers to that. The first answer is segmenting your time very carefully and realistically. So when I look at my Trello board in the morning, I map out my day. So I say, I'm going to spend an hour on this task, and then I'm going to walk the dog. And then I'm going to spend an hour on this task, and then I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air. I think building in big breaks and not just I'm going to take a 10-minute break and go back to work is key, because that's not realistic. Let's be honest. You take a 10-minute break, you go outside, you stretch your legs, and then you're like, oh, look at this thing, oh, somebody's calling. Oh, let me text this person back. Oh, I have to run an errand. I have to start my laundry. You're at home. There's a million things to distract you. Build time into your day to address those distractions. And then the other the other one is very short and simple, which is headphones. Just use them whenever you're there's a thing called deep focus, and there's a really good episode on there's a podcast on NPR that talks entirely, the whole episode is about deep focus. And if you set aside those really quality sections of your day and then utilize headphones so that you don't get interruption, and turn your phone off or put it in a different room, and just be, I know it's not like fun to do that. It doesn't seem normal to your daily life because you're constantly in touch with people via, chat or texts or whatever. But I think that if you set aside those really quality dedicated short periods of time for your studies, it makes it so that you get through it, and then you can get back to your phone. You can go back to texting and doing all the things on Instagram, that you were thinking about while you're doing your homework. But headphones really help me to get into that focused space. And it also is a cue to all of those other people in your life who walk into the room and they're like, hey, this person just called and whatever, and did you make the appointment? If you have headphones on, even if you can hear them, pretend like you can't, because then they'll leave you alone.
So I live in northern Idaho in a really remote area, and I have basically like broadband internet. It's extremely slow, and I'm dependent upon a dish that's outside my house. So if it's snowing too much, raining too much, extremely windy, I tend to lose internet connection, which can be quite challenging. So a lot of the times what I will do is, if I see some sort of weather event coming up or something that I think could become a problem with my internet connection, I will either try to open up those pages so that I'm able to see them even when I'm not, or a lot of times what I've done too is copy and pasting an assignment into a Word document, and then I can work on it even when I don't have internet connection, if it's something that you don't have to look anything up for. And teachers, they want to help you out, and they want you to succeed in their classes. So I have had to reach out to them before when I've had too many problems or something came up at the last minute. And they want you to be successful, so definitely reach out to them if you have any problems. And then another option, it's a little challenging now with the COVID-19, but I have gone to other locations to complete homework. I've even gone so far as the library that's in my hometown is open only about 3 days a week for about 5 hours each day. A lot of times I can't make it at the times when they're open, but I have gotten their Wi-Fi before on my laptop. So I would just charge up my laptop as much as the battery I could get it to take, and then drive in my car and sit in my car and submit an assignment using the Wi-Fi from the library. So you do have options like that. Of course, it's best to just stay at home. It's the best way to get things done, and especially in today's day and age. But definitely, keep your instructors in the loop if you're having problems. So I would say it's really important to keep up on all the readings and all the lectures. Instead of attending classes where you just show up and you're listening and you might take notes or you might not, it's really important that you watch the lectures and make sure to keep up with the weekly readings. It's really going to help you when you get to the quizzes and the midterms and the finals. And also, it's always good. Typically, I like to start my week getting some of the assignments that'll be due that week out of the way. That just kind of lightens the load towards the end of the week, where I get the more challenging things done first. And also, typically, the more challenging assignments are worth more points. So to go ahead and get them done in the first place is a pretty good feeling. I think that it's also really good to create a good study space for yourself. It's really hard to, take notes while you're sitting on a couch without a table and different things like that. So you want to set yourself up for success so that you're not struggling through different difficulties while you're trying to do your classes. And, also always feel free to reach out to the instructors for help. me being an entirely online student, I have never personally met any of my instructors, but that doesn't mean that they're not here for you and willing to help you, and they want you to succeed. And they realize the challenges that come along with online learning, and they want to be there to support you through that. So definitely, you know, reach out to the instructors and the teacher aides and different people that you're given the contact information for, because it can be extremely helpful.
Okay. The number one thing that goes missing when you're working remotely is human cues. So you're in a class, feeling overwhelmed. You don't, maybe I missed something. I didn't quite get what they said, and I'm feeling a little lost. I look around the room in a normal in-person class, and you see like other people who are kind of like, maybe I'm not quite following. So you don't have those cues anymore when you're working remotely, and that can be really challenging. And I know it's different for everybody. Like all of these tips, it's going to be different for each individual. You have to find what works for you. I can give you a ton of advice, and it's not going to be applicable to you. You have to find what works for you. But I think some of the tools that I've found to maintain that feeling of having the cues from other people in the room is to make those connections happen, as awkward and weird as it is. Make those connections with your fellow students and check in with them on a regular basis. So look for a familiar name, maybe somebody in your class, in the list of your class, has taken a class with you in the past. Just ping them, send them an email and be like, hey, we're in this class together. Can we check in together? And then to add an extra layer of awkward on top of that, make it a video check-in, make it a Zoom check-in, make it, you know, some way that you can see each other's faces. I think that the human element that goes missing when you start online learning is a really important piece to feeling like you are a part of the community. For me, that shows up in different ways, including imposter syndrome. You get isolated from the community. I start feeling like, oh no, I don't belong here. I'm not good enough. I have all the self-doubt come in. I feel, you know, everyone else is doing these beautiful discussion posts and they're so smart, and why aren't I that person? Well, I am. I'm super smart. I have things to contribute. You just forget because you're not able to commiserate with your fellow students. You're not able to hear when people fail. You're not able to hear when people get something wrong. You only see their online presence, which is just like flawless and beautiful. So I think it's important to force yourself to have those connections and to be real with each other and say, I'm struggling. I didn't understand this. How would you describe this concept in your own words? And that can happen. Maybe Slack. I think I have yet to experiment fully with the new Slack integrations for the classes. It could happen via group text chats. It could happen via Zoom meetings, but it's up to each student to make that happen. Nobody's going to do it for you. And that's going to be a part of your success to being an online student.